about, but this is grassroots per se, open discussion between people in regards to boundaries. So let's have at it. Who wants to start it off first? When it comes to boundaries, technically from your standpoint, what is a boundary?
Kendra, you go.
Well, for me, a boundary is really a place where you've set a clear guide for yourself to say, I'm not going to allow this specific thing into my life anymore. And then I think Raven's going to be here today to give us some tools of how to help identify those, right? And then how to respond to those. So yeah, I'm really excited today to learn a lot from Raven and how she coaches in that area. For those of you that are just joining, we're going to have a free brainstorm available for you to work through. You can do that during this live, or you can download it later. So I'm posting that in the comments right now. It's double.theory/boundaries.
All right, so everybody feel free to take advantage of that, double.theory.com/boundaries. Feel free to check it out and see if it's something you can utilize now as well as after this program before we do our next the next two parts of this three-part series. So this part deals with boundaries. We got a little taste there, teaser from Kendra, but I'm looking off screen here and I'm looking at, is it possible to identify a toxic person when it comes to boundaries? Raven, help me out.
Yes, unfortunately, I have a lot of experience with this personally.
I was trying not to. I was trying to make it sound like, oh, Raven's just going to talk.
I totally admit it. I'm working on being
you got
raw.
a book, actually. You got a book, technically.
I have a book all about narcissists specifically, but there are other people who are not narcissists who just love to cross over your boundary, either because they are needing something from you emotionally, or they just don't realize that they're crossing it because they're just thinking about themselves and not even realizing that you have needs. And if you're not speaking up for what your needs are, they're not going to know, you know? And a lot of times the person, let's just say, as someone who's highly sensitive, may feel like they're always needing to say yes when someone's requesting something, and then privately inside, they're being resentful because they're like, oh, they're just always, making me do this. They're always forcing me to travel there to their house and yada, yada. But when you step back and realize that that resentment is stemming from you just not creating that boundary because you're afraid, it always stems to a fear. Like, they're not going to love me. They're not going to accept me. I'll miss out. I know personally, I always felt, especially even with my family, like if I don't go to a family gathering, which is always at some particular person's house, I'm going to miss out. And that's going to make me feel really sad. But when I started to draw the boundary and say, especially for my kiddos, it was a far drive. I said, no, I'm not going to drive that far every single time. It was able to flip that, control for me inside myself. So I stopped being a victim, and I'm like, I chose not to go now. So it's really on me, and I'm taking the responsibility that I can't feel sad about that anymore. And and really, I've been able to have visits, with that particular family member happily coming up to my house, and all I had to say was, no, not this time. Let's establish this new pattern and boundary of going back and forth. And sometimes that's all it takes is communication.
You blew right past something in there that I think was a nugget, right? So
I do.
So you had said that, when you were starting to establish that boundary, you recognized that it wasn't for you. I don't know if Mr. Paxton sees what we got here. But,
you know what? Okay, I was being really good. I didn't say nothing about the book, and I wasn't gonna say a word.
So good.
But check it out. I knew you guys would try something like that. So I knew you would try something like that. So I'm good. I got mine too. So.
And hey, before we breeze through this, I want to just praise some blessings over that shirt, sir. Rocking that pizza plan.
No, the shirt.
I love it.
Listen, I've had this shirt for a while. My daughter bought me this shirt because I love Toy Story. So this shirt actually is the reflection of the pizza parlor that they went to, the little pizza truck that they, it says it on the shirt. and I've been waiting for months to wear this shirt for some particular reason. Okay.
I love it. I love
and
it.
today's the day. I had
love
to
that
wear
you-
my Toy Story shirt.
You
and it says,
recognize that, Kendra. I love that.
Pizza Planet.
I'm rocking the Disney mug, and
Pizza.
it's for
I
a
saw it.
reason.
I saw
I'm all
it.
about that.
I saw
Oh,
that.
man. I love
I'm
it.
Pixar.
Okay, so
I'm
you-
Pixar today. So go
So
ahead.
you blew past something, right, Raven?
Yeah.
When you're talking about establishing a boundary, right?
Yeah.
That you have this feeling of sadness, right? But I think that when people are starting to establish or even recognize a need for a boundary, there's other feelings, right, that come into play. So
Yes.
you talked about sadness, right? And that might be with that particular person or that situation, but I know that there are other feelings too, like there's guilt, like feelings, an immense feeling of guilt, right? And I've even been in situations where it's like I fear what they're going to say if I'm not there.
Bingo.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I mean, I think that we could probably do an entire show on just like the feelings that come up when you recognize that a boundary needs to be put in place. And that
Okay, let's start that. Let's start that now, because this is what's weird about doing something with you both, and I mean that in the most beautiful way possible. She said that about that point you made, Raven, and I caught it too, and I went like, okay, we're gonna talk about that, because I want to know what is that feeling like, though I've had it as well. Not only just, hey, I'm not doing it and I got to work up to say a no, but also, what are they going to say if I'm not there, as you just highlighted? Both of those, let's talk a little bit about that and open it up. But I got to say hello to everybody else that's joining in. I'm not ignoring you. I am in a different position. I did not move my monitor over so I could look at it, so I will be swinging back and forth. But the ladies will be carrying the conversation. What I do want to touch on is, can we all just say hi to Warren? Can we just say hello, Warren? Hello, Warren. I see you, buddy.
You know what? We are all about
go ahead.
giving those code words out. And Warren was on the code word, and he got his notification to go live today. And he's like, I'm going to be there. And he showed up.
Didn't he?
Awesome.
Thank you, Warren.
I love it.
And I do want to tell you this, Warren. Warren is, let me scroll down here. Warren is living life after divorce. Now, Warren, I have not forgot about you, my friend. We are going to do a show together. It has just been, I got all the other commitments that I have to keep my word to, and we're going to get you a show before our season is over with this year. And Heather, who's going to be on the show, thank you for that. She says that the shirt is hot. So thank you very much. That's going to make my daughter very happy, because I looked at it, and when she showed it to me, I was like, I'm not wearing that. I'm like too old to wear that. She said, Dad, you got to wear this shirt. This shirt is so cool. I'm wearing the shirt. Thank you very much. And Bree007 says, woohoo. She's enjoying you guys being here. She's also saying hello. Disappointment that there's even a need to see it when we're talking about boundaries. I assume that's what she's highlighting there for us, Bree. Bree, you can highlight to us what you mean by that as well. I do want to say this. Please make sure you check out the free brainstorm. It's something that Kendra came up with. Notice how good I am being Kendra. I'm not calling you Dee.
You're feeling it.
So it's hard. It's hard. I want to call you that. That is not her name, everybody. Her name is not Dee. I just love calling her that. But anyhow, Kendra has the free brainstorm. So you're going to need to go to her website. It's something that you can utilize, the double.theory.com/boundaries. The objective of the show today is, like all of our other 350 some odd episodes prior to this one, the objective is to be positive and encouraging. So if you have some positive and encouraging thoughts you'd like to share, that would be great. If you'd like to tell your story of what it's been like trying to have boundaries with your parents or an ex or someone you share custody with, or a number of things, this is an opportunity to talk it out in this live group chat that is meant to be encouraging. So feel free to do that. Any experience or tips you have, feel free to pass them on. But the guilt and the shame that comes from saying no, I'm just going to toss it to you, Raven.
I have another story I can share.
Oh, wait,
you got another story?
Can we do something real quick? I forgot. Yeah. Can you tell everybody? I don't even know if you have a copy. I should have said. Do you have your book or no? Oh, okay, you do. I am sorry. I should have said that in the pre-show prep. So Raven has a book. Feel free to take a look at it and see if it works for you. And you will find some some very interesting stories in there of what Raven has gone through. You have had your boundaries violated.
Yes.
Most of us have.
Yes.
But we're going to highlight you at this moment to take the lead in this discussion, and then we'll go with Kendra. But feel free to jump in if you'd like to, Kendra.
Dog
But
does.
when it comes, well, the dog knows boundaries because you keep telling it can't go outside or something. So when it comes to boundaries, what have you experienced, Raven, when it comes to boundaries, and whatever story you were about to share with us as well?
I was going to share with you a story where I was in the healthy realm. I've got lots of stories to share with you in the unhealthy realm. And I feel like they could be a
Healthy
good
realm.
example, but not so much on how to deal with it. Because when I would have my boundaries pushed constantly every day, every night in my house with my ex, I would succumb to it. I wouldn't really put my foot down, and I would burn myself out. You know, I was really upset and depressed. I leaned on alcohol, to be quite honest, and I became a situational alcoholic just to get me through, because I would never say no. I would never stand up for myself, and constantly and even when I allowed the boundary to be pushed, I was still punished, emotionally punished, because he would be unhappy because of how whatever was in his head didn't play out exactly how he wanted, even though I was saying yes when I felt so much like, no, I need to go to bed. I got to wake up in the morning. Like, that's enough of this activity, And I just would always say yes, because I feared losing him, to be quite honest. And that was really the biggest, deepest connection to that trigger was the fear of losing him and thinking that I was nothing without him, which was a huge lie.
He emotionally punished you? Is that what you meant?
Yes.
Did you also jump on the bandwagon and periodically or develop a pattern of emotionally, punishing yourself too, that maybe you weren't being cooperative enough? I'm just asking.
Yeah, in the moment, and in the morning after. So he would, especially if you know narcissists, their huge weapon is your apology. So he would be silent. So he wouldn't say anything. He would emotionally kind of shun me. He would cancel a vacation we had, whatever the thing is, like the whole I don't love you aura. And then the next, I would go to sleep and go to work all day. I would be heartbroken, toiling over what did I do wrong? How come I couldn't please him? All these things. And my friends would be like, well, you probably just need to get a new man, but, can't really tell you that. And I would come back home and say, you know what, I've thought about it. And I really am sorry that I did whatever I made up in my head, that it was my fault. And he would run with it. He would take it and be like, yeah, I accept that. He would never apologize on his end. And, if you only just did this,
if you were only a little bit better,
and if you were only a little bit sexier, if you only drank one more drink, if you only wore this kind of heel, if you only wore and he would actually buy me high heels, like all these little tiny things that were just band-aids, and they weren't the core issue of this is a boundary that you've crossed and you're not respecting me as a human being.
Right. Yeah. And even getting the clothes or the shoes, or telling you, or technically he was comparing you to whatever was in his head, or whoever was in his head. Yes, that's where I was going with it. It was porn. Porn. It was in his head. So he's comparing it because he wants to live this fake lifestyle that he's seeing through porn. Yeah. He still is violating you and your boundaries because he doesn't see the beauty of who you were in that moment.
Right.
And that from that moment you became who you are now. That he didn't see the growth that he could benefit from by being around you. And his loss at this point. But when it comes to boundaries and having someone violate that, Kendra, tell me please, what are some of the things that you recognize a person can do when their boundaries are violated? Are there any things that they could do with their time or their mindset so that they can navigate their life and get their dignity back and self-esteem?
I think, for me, I think identifying a boundary is step one, because I think a lot of the times walk through life and we get like this like feeling in our gut, right? Like this doesn't feel right. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Might be your relationship with your friend, right? It might be your relationship with your significant other or a peer or a boss, you know. And one, you have to be able to start identifying those like what the feeling is before you can even like formulate like I have a boundary issue, right? And then two, like what is my boundary going to be? And then I have to get a plan in my mind to say, like, the next time this happens, here's the reaction I'm going to try, right? And it's probably not going to work the first time. And it's probably going to be really uncomfortable the first time. I'm going to have to keep trying and practicing it until I have the reaction that I want. And making sure that that boundary is something that is effective for me.
And if the reaction is shame and guilt, that shame and guilt is something that can be worked through, because eventually it will go away if a person works on it, right? Because the shame and guilt comes from somewhere. Something is making a person feel guilty for standing up for themselves.
Yeah.
Did you experience that? Have either one of you experienced that? When you stand up for yourself, you felt that guilt or shame, or that maybe I should just say yes and go along?
Yeah, I felt a lot of that in like in professional environments, because I am like such a people pleaser, and I think that I'm always trying to achieve things and do things. I try not to be like, you know, a perfectionist, but like I'm trying to achieve things at a high level. So I take things very personally if you know, if they're saying like, you know, if there's an issue where I had a boss that would literally just yell about everything. And I'm like, I have got to, because I had a whole group of employees underneath me, and like they're all looking at me and my reaction, right, to that supervisor relationship. And so for me, I had to really work hard to like, identify like, obviously I do not like this, but I was trying so hard to get some things into place about, you know, what's my next reaction going to be? How is this going to be if this occurs? So it was mentally draining to say like, if this happens, what should I do? But I had to do that hard work to get to a place where I had to say like, this isn't working for me. And if you want a reaction from me in the way that you need me to work, you need to do something differently.
Right. Did you feel, but I'm just curious to ask, so did you feel the need to stay small when he yelled, so that you could process, well, maybe I should react the way he wants? Or did you feel, you know what, I'm not going to react the way he wants. I don't like people screaming at me. Or how did it work for you?
Well, it was actually
because this happens to people all the time. I'm just saying, this happens to people all the time who are, you're a team person.
Lots of bosses like that.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. You're a team person. I just can't see somebody yelling at you, but then to, you know, that's, you know, that's just, no, I'm just saying, you seem like you get along with people.
Too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He must just being a really cranky person, man, because you're easy to get along with. But go ahead. What was it like for you? Were you thinking, well, you know what, maybe I should change and just get in and be like everybody else?
Yeah.
Or did you feel I should just be invisible?
Yeah, I think I had a bunch of different forces pulling at me all at one time, right? It was actually a female supervisor. I had taken this position, and I was working for a female boss who was very well known for...
Wait, the female boss was a yeller?
Oh, yeah. And she was
was it a guy? Like, it wasn't a guy?
trauma.
Hey, Raven, we got that wrong.
Oh, we got that wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm so sorry to all the men. That was such a stereotype.
No. Don't be sorry to him yet. Hold on a second. Maybe say something.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, she was very well known for this, like these dramatical, theatrical performances, like in the workspace and stuff. And I actually had worked in a different arena before this, and I took this management position under her, knowing full well what to expect, because I had worked in different relationships in the past, and I had been able, because of my position previously, to nip it in the bud like really easily. Say like, hey, like, trust me, I don't report to you. I can.
You were ready.
Yes, I was ready. I was like, I got this.
You're ready.
The relationship's on point, and then I get in the role, And I no longer have the ability to be like, I don't report to you, like, you know. And so the role totally switched, right? And
You
I'm
sitting there
like,
going like, oh shoot, no, got it.
yeah.
Now what do I
I
do?
gotta
Meanwhile,
take it or move
yeah,
or throw a tantrum, one or the other. Okay, go
yeah.
ahead. So go ahead. How'd you navigate it? Now
So
remember,
me,
now there may be somebody that watches this in your same position. So don't
exactly.
tell them something that will get them fired.
Yes. Hey.
They
Yeah.
may need unemployment, but go ahead.
Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
So I had an entire team looking at me, right? I had pulled up 2 teams. I was supervising 2 of them, and you know, at the very beginning, like we went through our honeymoon phase, right? Like things were all good and cool, and then
He was all nice to you and stuff.
yeah, and then like I'm
Devil
building
wears Prada. She was being
yeah,
okay. Go ahead.
yep. I was like building a good relationship and rapport with my staff, and then they kept telling me like, this is gonna happen to you. Like, it's not if but when, but we've been through 3 supervisors in 3 years, you know, like we got some PTSD here. And I was like, okay, like I know she gets crazy sometimes, but like I think I got this. And then the first time like she came in a bad mood, and it was like yesterday I told you to make those posters orange, and today she's like, I swear I told you to make them blue. I'm like, for the love of God, there, you know. And it would just be yelling over absolutely nothing. And so at first I was completely caught off guard because, you know, I don't have a lot of experience with that type of behavior in the workplace, at least at that point in my career. And
Right.
so I was in shock at first, and then I was like really looking at myself like, what did I do wrong? And it was like probably like 2 or 3 months of like, okay, if I just do it right, then she'll stop being mad, right? And I can see like Raven's.
I guess
I
that's
see it.
common, huh?
Well,
No,
I mean, it
seriously.
makes sense because, you know, as you grow up, you know, if you do something wrong, your parents either freak out of fear or whatever, they yell and say, okay, get yourself in line. So when your boss does it, you kind of think, oh, well, I've done something wrong.
Good
But
point. Good point.
unfortunately, your bosses, depending on people, where they are emotionally intelligent wise, she could be stuck in ninth grade or something emotionally,
right.
you know, and
Yeah.
still operating as an adult and bringing that into your sphere. You're like, I don't know what to do with this.
And then
it's
at that
natural.
point, no, go ahead. I'm sorry, you were going to say
I'm just
at
gonna
that
say
point.
it's natural to feel like you like are trying to assess like what did I do wrong, but it's just all her point of view and her bad memory.
Yeah.
And you're getting from Bree from BREA007 from Bree 007. She says exactly. Matter of fact, Bree even mentioned, yes, it's disappointing that the person you need to set his boundaries with isn't emotionally mature enough to already be aware it's a boundary. We all need to have with each other. So emotional intellect is often something people don't have, is what she highlights. This is something that's a pretty good point, huh?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
That's like most of the problems in the world.
Bree also says drama queen. She also says drama queen also about that same person.
She's back in high school still in her emotional state.
You know, and sometimes it can be like that in a workspace that it can be like that with your neighbors. Some of them get stuck in high school and they think they still have a leather jacket on and they should be able to, you know, push people around and everybody should serve them. But us navigating it is the key, right? Our reaction and our navigation and making sure that we set something up to protect ourselves emotionally, let alone financially, because when you're on a job, before you know it, somebody's telling you did a horrible job because they said one thing one day and, you know, they're in their ninth grade mind, and then the next day they're in their 49-year-old mind. And so it can be quite confusing. I've got to ask a question, though. I'm looking at people who don't respect boundaries as being individuals who put others down. That's what we're hearing so far. They have a tendency to do that. Your thoughts on that?
It stems from insecurity. Like we were talking about people getting stuck emotionally in high school, and then I see even that, you know, big bully in high school, they're emotionally stuck in some trauma that has occurred in their childhood. something they haven't received emotionally that they needed to feel safe and loved, to be able to be empathetic to everyone and to realize that everyone has feelings just like they do.
And they also have a tendency not to apologize when they're wrong. Actually, you were highlighting that to us, Raven, at the beginning in your personal experience. Everyone could take a look at Raven's book. Go to her page and take a look. But when it comes to not apologizing when they're wrong, that can really take a toll on a person if you're the target of their behavior, which is their behavior is really attacking your boundaries so that you almost don't, literally, you don't exist. And they can do whatever they want with you and tell you whatever, as it were, you become their slave.
Exactly. It's gaslighting, like you're saying, _Bram Dev. It's putting the smoke and mirrors up. Don't see how insecure I am. Don't see how I'm not perfect, because that insecure person has to be perfect. And if any amount that they feel triggered, they're not doing their job right, or they're imperfect, they have to overcompensate. And that's where the boundary pushing comes from. And that's where the yelling comes from. And the demeaning and the talking down. Yeah.
Do you still have that same boss, Kendra?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I was debating. This whole time I was debating. I said, maybe I shouldn't ask that question.
Nope, go for it. I'm an open book.
So that boss is no longer a part of your life, and I have to say, Bram, I forgive me. I know we've DM'd each other back and forth, but I'm probably saying your name wrong. But I'm going to keep calling you Bram Dev. There's so many points of view about boundaries. This discussion is so necessary. I love your dog. I think it's the coolest thing.
She's constantly barking.
But see, on my show, you should know by now. We did the show on the podcast, on my podcast, both of you.
Yeah.
But show, children, I get it all when I get Raven on the show. When I get Raven on the show, I have dogs, I have children.
It's house tours.
Yeah,
yeah.
You know, house tours are really huge on my platforms because the audience loves it. I always get comments later on that people go like, oh, they had a really cool picture on the wall or something like that. And I go like, I didn't even notice. And they get like totally see everything. But yes, with Raven, we get all of that. With Dee Dee, what I get is very concise and important information on how not to waste your time with toxic people or waste your time in life.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Don't waste your time with toxic people.
That's true.
Draw that boundary, and don't worry if they never talk to you again, because it's their loss.
Yeah, that was basically the evolution of that story, right?
Raven is like, I'll make new friends. You can go ahead and leave. I'll make new friends.
I've made a reel, you know, that with the audio that says, let them go.
Yeah. Kendra's be like, peace out. It's all right.
Yeah,
I'm all right.
And now
get your
you
Disney cup. You get your Disney cup.
Yeah, I'll sit here by myself sipping coffee. I am fine.
Now, you've had moments now where maybe we all have had moments where we felt an intense anxiety that could come over us because of the perception we give by seemingly not being cooperative to somebody who's trying to bully us. We could get shameful about it or feel guilty about it. As you said earlier, Kendra, you know, what are the other people going to say because I'm not there? Are they going to think the worst of me? Yeah. That can be painful too, though, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That is a huge aspect of it. I know at least in my job where I was serving, like I was serving in a public sector environment, and I had made some commitments to some really high level people about what we were going to be doing in the next year, 2 years. And I mean, it was like with like Washington, like DC, like I made some personal commitments with them of like milestones and things that we were going to meet and achieve. And I just knew that anything that I would have been undone in that environment. And I just knew for me, I had to exit. And it took a lot because I knew that like that would impact my relationship with different partners that I had, because I was not going to be able to fulfill on that obligation of what I had made for myself. So do
you feel that by not fulfilling something, you were going to you're going to damage your reputation?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That is because I want to be that high achiever and that people pleaser and do really well in business, and I want to also put that personal relationship at a really high level. So, yeah, that was definitely where I was feeling.
Now, both of you became two shows that were very much so talked about. Raven, I think you and I did 2 shows together, and then I got to do one with Kendra. All of you became people that, both of you became individuals that the people who watched the shows talked about a great deal. But there were those who are part of the IGTV community that downloaded the show, that don't watch it on Instagram's platform, but off of their own server or whatever they watch it off of their phone and so forth, who found both of you to be very intelligent people. They said smart, wise, smart, your stories and what you did. So now both of you are on Narc Abuse TV talking about boundaries. And then we're going to do a show that talks about red flags. And then we're going to do another show that will talk about self-esteem, a series of 3 shows, this being the first. But when it comes to boundaries, do you feel that when people cross your boundaries, you get defensive?
Oh, I don't know about defensive. Because honestly, for me, and at least in my personal experience, it's been very sneaky. I haven't really recognized it until my boundaries crossed. Because let's say maybe I didn't draw a boundary, or like we were talking about the guilt earlier. Oh, I feel guilty. Like, oh, let's say like I'm not going to be going to her dinner she invited me to, but everyone else is. But my boundary is I'm not going to drive my kids that far, and let's say traffic and it takes 2 hours to get there. Like that's just a boundary. So I feel really bad. So then I'll reach out to be like, oh, like I want to send you a gift or whatever, right? I'm trying to be this nice person. And then that completely just blows it all out of the water. And then that person, particularly this person, not everybody, will turn around and be like, oh yeah, or like I invited this person to another side event that everyone else, and then she took over the event and she was like invited everybody that I just invited to our event to her event, and like tagged it into her special event. Remember that? I don't remember how I told you the story, but it was like I drew a boundary, yet at the same time I felt guilty about it. So I like reached across the aisle to like the olive branch, and therefore my boundary got yanked down. Like my wall just went down, and does that make sense? Like sometimes people do that to you.
It makes sense because you were looking to not come across as if you were being mean to her or exclusive.
Yeah. Right.
And you tried to be opening. That's what I like about both of you. Both of you are very much so team players who try to keep the peace. You're peacemakers.
I am.
You're peacekeepers, both of you. And I appreciate that about both of you. But I could see where you're saying now she didn't appreciate that. And she truly became a person who was unappreciative and stepped over the boundary, and then in turn decided to take, as it were, people who were really focusing on you so she could get the attention and live off of the attention. You know that happens all across it happens in social media. You help one person and then they want to try to see if they can, people have a number of different things. But what happens is when that happens to you or has happened to you, emotionally, what was it like for you when that happened?
Oh, at first I wanted to call her out, and I was so mad, right? We're talking about the guide, the boundaries guide that you can have to download, the free brainstorm. We talk about the triggers in there, and that triggered so much rage. I was so mad. I was like, how dare she? Like, I was being kind, and all of a sudden she took this. And if it was just me and my husband, I wouldn't care. I would definitely be mad, but I wouldn't care as much because there were little kids involved, like on both sides, that were excited to see each other. And I felt like she took that away only because she was a small child, like wanting all the attention and all this stuff, which narcissists do. And it was really upsetting. And then I drew another boundary and I said, you know what? Because she re-invited me to her event that she took away from my house. I was like, No, thank you. I really don't. And I said this, and I kind of knew it was going to trigger her.
All I can do is smile. All I can do is smile.
How insane is this, like situation? So you're inviting me to the party that you hijacked at your house, like you're a nice person. And I'm like, no, I really didn't like how you handled that. I'm just going to be honest.
Kendra's shaking her head, but go ahead.
This is my life, you guys. This is like constant boundary 101. Like I'm constantly working on this stuff. Yeah. So there's always those times where you feel bad because you don't want to be mean.
Come on, Kendra. What would you have done? You just blown up the party? What would you done?
So for
be
me,
nice now.
like
positive and encouraging.
Yeah. So for me,
I have to say something before you go. I got to say this before you say that. Please hold on to that thought. I didn't want nobody to. Someone Lizzie 805 says they think they're always right. I just want to drop that in because she said that a few moments ago, and that kind of applies to what you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
they're doing something totally underhanded, but they think they're right. Kendra, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So for me, like, I do tend to like think about like, did I articulate this as a boundary?
That's what you do.
I think about that.
Okay, did I say that properly? Am I missing something?
But
they just crossed my boundary. Did I? Is that what you're such a good person?
But the switch is gonna flip like real quick. If I clearly communicated it like many times, I don't stand for it if it's like something I've like clearly communicated and then it's crossed.
Okay.
I think my volume goes up a little bit and my
intensity
goes up a little bit.
No. Your volume?
It's just like,
does it
if
go
I
up?
haven't communicated it to you, then like that's my fault, right? But if I've clearly communicated something to you and you're gonna do it anyways, then that's where we're gonna have a little bit of a discussion, a little chit chat.
I'm sorry. Did you say chit chat?
Yeah, chit chat.
That's a new shirt. Yeah. You should do hashtag chit chat. That should you need to put that on a website. That should come from. That shit, I would
have to say though, if this is a pattern with someone, let's say Kendra, this has happened once, and you have the chit chat, and then it happens again, which this has happened particularly with this person. Then it's like, no wonder I wasn't talking to her for like months on end. Oh my gosh, now I remember because I'm like so nice. And
Well, what draws you back to go back to talk to him again though? What is there that makes you go back? If they have this, they obviously have a chit chat hearing problem.
Yeah. The guilt, because for me,
or addiction.
Family is addiction to the attention and drama.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, like I'm very loyal, and if they're family, then I think that it should always be worked out. But that's not actually the case for some, to be quite honest. Yeah. Yeah.
Some choose. So what you're saying, Raven, Kendra, is that some people choose to ignore situations and circumstances and boundaries simply because, either for emotional immaturity, of course, but simply because they really don't care.
Which person doesn't care?
The person who's crossing the boundary just doesn't care then.
Yeah, they don't care about anybody but themselves. It's really what boils down to. They're in self-preservation mode 100% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if it's the case where like I have communicated something clearly, right? And it's not just in my mind that I've told somebody or I think I should. So I think that's where a lot of relationships get broken down, right? Is where I think that I've over communicated something to you, or you should just know because this is how I feel. If I haven't communicated that to you, then that's on me, but then there's the other side of it. Like I always try and say, like, did I actually like communicate that this isn't something that I'm okay with,
Right. No. Okay. So now you said over communicate or not communicated at all is what you're saying.
Yeah. So if I
what's over communicate? Now, our platform is really, there's a lot of young people that are now watching the shows who have not been parented or they come from foster homes. So let's break this down for some young person. So they don't always think that they're the problem. So when you say over communicate, what does that mean? over-explain.
Yeah, I think it's important to say, like, so this is not going to happen overnight. Let's preface that there, right? First, you're going to go through the stage of, like, hey, I have this, like, gut instinct inside of me to say, like, I don't like this, right? And then you're going to start saying, like, if I, were to establish a boundary, what would that look like, right? And then you would brainstorm, what would that look like? When I'm saying over communicate is like when you've gotten like past those two phases and you're like ready to like set that boundary, like, maybe it's as simple as saying like, I'm not going to be going to Sunday family dinners with everybody because, it really is setting me behind in my work week and I am getting in trouble at work and I really need my downtime. And I know with families, sometimes there's that loyalty and, there's going to be guilt and there may be shame and that sort of thing. I think you need to start over communicating it by like breaking down like what you're going to say to them and why you are making this decision. I know that not everybody feels the need to communicate the why, but I think the closer the relationship is, the more you need to explain the why. And that's just how I function. Like if it's like with my closest, like most dearest relationships, I'm going to say like, this is impacting me in this way. And I find that it's more likely that that boundary is going to be respected because I've over communicated it in that way.
And plus, so you knowing your why. Just sorry.
So you're not a marriage counselor, is what you're saying, Kendra? You're not. Okay, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Raven? No, Raven. We want to talk to your man now. We want to talk to the man in your life. Okay, go ahead, Raven.
I was just saying. Also, I think what's really important is you don't even have to explain the why, but it's nice to with your family, especially because there's so much guilt and there's so many hurt feelings. If you know the why and you have it solid within you, then you can hold the boundary. If you don't know why and you're just like, oh, I need to draw a boundary. Well, why? List all the reasons why this boundary is going to empower you. And then you can hold that boundary.
Right. And so everybody understands this was never meant to be a clinical discussion on boundaries. This happens to be a life experience reason discussion on boundaries. But we have another coach in play here. That is the PAC coach, Anastasia. She says if a person has or have that thought that they are a problem, that's a confirmation that they are not a problem. That's an interesting way to look at it. So if somebody definitely is trying to make you out to be the issue,
yes,
especially if they're crossing your boundary, the PAC coach makes an important point.
Yeah, because if it's someone who respects you and sees you as a human being empathetically, they're going to evaluate and ask you why, or not even. They're just going to say, okay, I respect that. How can we find a compromise in the middle?
Yes,
can we do, family dinners on Saturday instead? Would that work? And then consult with all of the siblings or whatever, and
they're not going to listen to everybody in the family that's saying that this person is a horrible person because they don't want to show up, because that's just triangulation, gaslighting, stupidity. Yeah. If they're your husband or your wife, your partner is going to say, hey, look, we're a team. Okay, say, hey, you know what? I'm glad you told me that, because now I know what I need to do so that I can support you in that. Because if you're going to do that, then I'll tell you what, I'll go over and make an appearance maybe this time, but they need to know we are not going to always be there, because we need to be able to do something different. We're starting our own tradition. We're doing something that our family needs to do. This is our house and what we're doing. And so a person is he or she is going to be able to navigate around that. I've got to get to something here. I've got to say hello to Lady D. This is not you, Dee. Miss D is here. The Djibouti is here. Hello to you. Everybody say hello to Djibouti.
Hey, Djibouti.
Hey, Djibouti.
Thank you. I was waiting for you guys to say it. Oh, here you guys did it. Okay. That is actually the name there. Okay. And I have to get this right. Barefoot Island Mama is here. I am going to say this again. I said it on Saturday during the Coach Jess show. Isn't it? It's a beautiful hat, isn't it? Great picture. Mm-hmm. I, for quite a while, was calling her Barefootsy Mama. I have no idea. Barefootsy Land Mama. That is not what that says. So officially, again, I say I apologize for butchering your Instagram name. The Tish Kirkpatrick has joined as well. Renee Ray online, and a number of others that have passed through are still here. I do want to mention this. You guys ready? Are you good? Well, wait, hold on a second. We got a thought here. Can you see that, Raven or Kendra? You guys want to read it?
I can. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Let me read it out.
Yeah, read it.
Okay, so Tish Kirkpatrick. Oh, I'm not good at reading these names. So I'm so sorry. I'm gonna.
Now you know. Now you know what I go through.
Yes, sir. Yes, it's you got a tough job, man. Okay, so Tish says, I'm so overwhelmed divorcing my narcissistic soon-to-be ex. Any advice to get the judge to listen to my side?
I'm so sorry that you're going through that. I would advise, as anything in the courts, is evidence, evidence, evidence. So keeping a journal of things that are happening. I'm not sure what's happening exactly with your ex, how much control or what's happening, but typically narcissists have a huge amount of control and they want to come out on the winning side no matter what. Gather as much evidence as you can. Judges look at evidence. Yeah, 36 years. And unfortunately, they don't typically go for the emotion of, I am so hurt here and there, which I validate that you are, and probably emotionally in turmoil. So take all of those trigger points where it's interesting. We're talking about the trigger points with boundaries. Yeah. He plays the victim all the time. Of course he does. Yes. And so taking the trigger points, and maybe for yourself and your healing, is starting to journal down, okay, this happened, this triggered me here, and finding the evidence to link back, for the judge to be listening to you, that this is what's happening here. This is the conversation. This is what happened. And having documentation is huge. Having things in writing is another really huge thing that you can do, because they can talk all they want and they can blow steam and gaslighting, but the judge is going to look at evidence, and they're going to look at solid things in writing and in proof. So as much as you can gather in that and really work on your healing, which this book can help you with, The Empath and the Narcissist, A Healing Guide for People Pleasers, you're coming from that empowerment side. And I'm so sorry. I'm glad that you are not physically there and you're separated, but it's really difficult to go through the courts with anybody, let alone a narcissist. So I'm rooting for you and see you.
Yeah, it can be quite challenging. I'm sorry, Kendra, were you going to say something there? Or if not, I was going to.
No,
go ahead.
I do not have experience with providing evidence in the form of any sort of relationship court system. I do a lot of court system stuff on my business, professional side of the house, but I don't provide any advice.
Really. Emails, recordings, text messages, right?
Yeah, when you're dealing with a difficult boss, there has been a lot of experience you had that's very similar that can be applied here, because when you're dealing with someone who is emotionally immature, that's essentially what she has as well. But you make a very valid point, which you said earlier. I'm going to take something from Kendra here, that you still had to speak up for yourself in that scenario. You recognize who you were dealing with. Sometimes it's very important to recognize who you're dealing with, and giving someone a label of being narcissistic and a number of things can be very easy. But the biggest thing, Tish, is exactly what was highlighted to you, is to make sure that you provide evidence, and it is not always going to turn out the way that we expect it to be. But one thing is for sure, being stoic and being exemplary in front of your children can be very powerful. This is what I'm hearing from a number of people that have been on the show. But I do want to tell you this, Tish, within another week or so, I think it is, I have to double check my schedule, but you're going to have a show in which you can be a part of and ask. There are going to be some people that are going to come on and give you some legal parameters to work from, and that you will be able to talk to one-on-one and get a hold of them so that you can ask the very question you're asking now. So please keep that in mind, Tish. We're trying our best here to make sure that situations like you find yourself in, you're able to find here on Narc Abuse TV and be able to talk to individuals. We We seriously hope that it turns out well, but I'm going to have to go to Brahm here. He's in the chat, and he says this. Please keep this in mind, Tish. You may see this already on the screen, or you have seen it. Brahm Dev says, train to be calm, breathing.
Yeah. No reacting.
Seems to be that seems to be a running theme. Whether you have a good lawyer or a bad lawyer that may come to your advantage, whether you've been separated 15 years or there's children or not, is to try to maintain your calmness in dealing with someone who's emotionally immature and is out to harm you financially and other ways. So we are not the best choice for legal advice because we don't give any. But in this group chat, please try to make sure you remain calm. And Brahm makes a very good point. Tish says, well, she says, thank you so much. I wish there was more we could say, but please look out for upcoming shows that we're going to have here where you'll be able to talk more about divorce and a number of other things with the experts and then talk to them after the show. But she says, I have so much documentation. Well, look, hey, Sassy X Soulful, or is that Sassy times Soulful, you guys? You guys correct me because I'm too old. I don't know. Sassy, right? Times Soulful, right? Doesn't that sound good? Better? Okay, yeah. You can correct me, Sassy, if I'm saying it wrong.
Let us know.
So to Tish, you got somebody here in the chat. Sassy's real good at giving some encouragement in some of our other shows. She says, observe, don't absorb. Of course, that's from Ross. Rosenstein? Somebody correct me. It's Ross. I call him Ross, at least that's. Yeah. So that advice can be beneficial as well. But what you said.
Yeah, she said it's sassy and so.
And I was going to say that, but I'm like, well, but the X.
Yes. You're so close.
You're supposed to help me out here, lady. You're supposed to correct the old guy in the room. That's sassy and soulful. I'm sorry, my dear.
I was like, I don't know.
You're still 18, young lady. What are you talking about?
Guys,
all right.
You know me and Instagram. It's not my.
Yeah, you know what? That's because you're supposed to be on the corporate tour. You're supposed to be on the tour where you're giving corporate lectures or something like that. When it comes to dealing with a difficult person, a self-absorbed person, a haughty person, the label is, in clinical term, is narcissistic or NPD person or cluster B, a number of things that we can say are diagnosed, a person can be diagnosed with or not diagnosed. Whatever it may be, we still have to be able to identify our triggers. Yeah, we still need to control ourselves, even if we are going to have to divorce a person who has been unfaithful and not there for us. A person needs to maybe go through a divorce. No matter what happens in the courtroom, if there are children involved, they're still going to be looking to try to trigger us or move us to react in a way that we are not able to remain calm. Observe, don't absorb. Train yourself to be calm. All these things are very important to remain stoic and keep our dignity and don't give it away when we're dealing with someone who's yelling at us. Like Kendra, you were highlighting, you were able to hold on to yourself because you didn't lose your cool, did you? You didn't set our car on fire, right?
So what I've learned too is I've learned from some people in my professional arena where they always say something like, the calmest person in the room always wins. Even though it might not seem like it, because this other person is getting a lot of attention and is very theatrical, the calmest person in the room always wins. But what I want to say is that I did not have any sort of yelling match with this person. I did try very hard to remain very calm, but what I noticed in response, and I think that Raven has some experience with this, is that the calmer I got and the quieter that I got and the more focused I got, the louder that they got, the more backlash that I would see. And they just wanted to intensify that because they were not getting the reaction that they wanted. And I think that happens in a lot of different ways when you are trying to remain calm. Expect it to elevate.
Matter of fact, that was something that was said earlier by, I believe, Lizzie 805, that they get irritated by our setting a boundary, and of course, as we're talking about now, remaining calm. So they want us to react the same way they're feeling inside, whether that's going to a courtroom or not. Matter of fact, that's a very good point, Kendra. You just highlighted. Raven, anything before I'm going to turn to the screen here in a minute because a lot of words are going up there. Go ahead.
So many thoughts racing through my head. I just have to say, yeah, you can only control yourself. That's the one thing that I've learned throughout this whole entire process is you can only control yourself and how you react. And yes, what that happens is it triggers within them the self-indulged because of their lack of is that lack of scarcity of love. So when you're calm and you're not feeding into it, they start to panic because it's triggering within them, like maybe something they've experienced as a child, like their parent walking away, their parent ignoring them, all those things. But you just continue to still need to be stoic. And it's really great to repeat, what they're saying to you. So I'm hearing that you are feeling this and, try and bring them down to that communication level. Right. If you're like in a work situation or talking.
Or you have children, but you have children with them, or a number of things. So there's ways to work through it and around it. But that's a really good point to repeat back to them what they're saying. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So let's say they're yelling and screaming that you don't do this. You didn't make this poster purple when it should have been orange, and you can calmly repeat back to them, I hear you. So you're saying that this poster should be orange and not blue, correct? And then they can go on and on, irate. Yes, I told you 5 times yesterday. I'm like, okay. And then there's where if you have the calm, stoic mind, and you can really harness your fight or flight reaction, because that's human to be fight or flight when someone's yelling at you, is to say, oh, can you show me the email of where you told me that it should be blue instead of orange? So now you go to the facts because they're so emotional. Go to the facts and say, oh, yes, I really would love to make this happen for you. Can you show me where this was? Because, from my memory, we were talking about orange.
Yeah. And there's also, I see the chat going, and there's lots of love going out to Tish. I know that there's.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, lots of love.
We got your back, girl.
And there's still time. You continue to work on yourself and show your children unconditional love. They will see through the smoke and mirrors eventually as they get older, and something will happen in their scenario in that relationship, and they will see that you were always there for them as the steadfast mom, and they will see that you were right. Not so much right, but you always loved them, and what he said about you is wrong.
Yeah. Children know a liar. They know it. They may not be able to, pay their own rent and move out and do a number of things. Yeah. They may have to endure something, and it may seem like they have forgotten you, but they have not. Yeah. Because the truth always, come on, you guys. This expression is older than all 3 of us together. Truth will always come out. It will always come out.
And speaking from personal experience, I didn't talk to my family for years when I was with my ex because he had me manipulated that they were bad people, and I didn't even go to holidays. And, I came around, and we have a relationship now and an understanding, and we love each other. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, it works itself out. Enduring it, though, is hard, though, right? Is what you're saying, whether it be working for somebody or not, or whether it's a relationship. Enduring it and putting up with it can be hard. Let's talk the things that can cause us to react, or the term is triggers. So how to identify your triggers? Any thoughts on that?
I would say go straight to your gut, right? Go use our brainstormer and then listen to your body. Go straight to your gut.
Everybody hear that, please? I'm going to mention, if you are new here, there is something that has been provided by Kendra. I want to say Dee Dee. I'm just killing myself.
Every time?
Listen, you should have seen me yesterday. I was walking around talking to myself. Okay, Kendra. And fortunately, my daughters didn't think I was going crazy because I just not Dee Dee. Not Dee Dee. Her name is not Dee Dee. Not Dee Dee. I was just doing that to myself over and over. And we got a new cat, and I practiced it all day today with the cat. I kept going, hi, Kendra. So the cat's going to be confused because the cat's name is Sherlock. Okay? But I kept calling it Kendra today. The cat was like, who am I? Am I a guy? I'm a girl.
Oh, kids against our
But
God.
Kendra, tell us more about what you have there that everybody can use.
Definitely. So Raven is an absolute expert when it comes to boundaries, and I love partnering with people that, you know, push you towards your own goals, whether those be, you know, personal development goals or whatever they may be. So we're partnering to do this 3-part series with boundaries, red flags, and self-esteem. And we wanted to give you guys a gift for each one of those. So for this one, we wanted to do a brainstorm exercise for you guys. So you have a 3-page brainstorm exercise that's available to you guys at www.double.theory.com/boundaries. So I dropped that in the chat for you guys. And when you go there, you'll provide your information, and then it will give you this downloadable guide, and it will help you walk through 3 areas that you may want to think about your triggers as it relates to boundaries. So we're focusing on, you know, when you become defensive, when you become anxious, and when you become angry. And we want to start brainstorming some of those triggers that are around those 3 topics, so you can start working on that first phase, right, of even identifying that this is a boundary issue, and then you need to get to the place where you can start like formulating, like, this is what my boundary is on this issue, and then you need to get to where you can communicate that out. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's really powerful. Because writing things down is so powerful. Words are things, words manifest, and they also release. So when you're writing all of these triggers and what happens when I feel anxious? What was just said? And you can link the 2, and then you're able to release it, rewrite it, and, you know, reconform the narrative to really say, you know what, now I don't have to feel like this, because I've got a boundary drawn now, and I can clearly see it.
You're getting so much love. Look, Sassy and Soulful says, thank you so much for the link. Listen, ladies and gents, they're in the chat. The best thing about this is that I had nothing to do with it. But I think it's so awesome that both of you did this for this this first part of a 3-part series.
Kendra's so together on that. I love it.
Yeah, Kendra, you're the bomb. I'm telling you, you make things happen. You know,
Thanks,
seriously,
guys.
You really do. And Raven, thank you so much for breaking this down for everybody. Let me make sure I try to get this in here. For everybody, I'm looking at part of the discussion here. I'm just going to go and read some of it to you, and then we're going to talk a little bit more before we have to go. But I do want to say, Tish, please make sure you go to double.theory.com/boundaries. Please make sure you go there, Tish, if you get an opportunity to do so, please, so that you can get go to that link and get this download that can help you navigate in between your court dates or dealing with a knucklehead that's giving you a hard time, because you deserve as much support as possible. Anybody that has to deal with go ahead, please.
She's saying that she's crying when he's lying. That will help you release that, because you can see. You know, you can see your trigger and say, you know what, when he says this and this and this, that makes me really sad because it's not true. But since you know it's not true and you have evidence it's not true, you don't have to lie anymore because you've got it and you've presented it. So you can just sit back and go, yeah, whatever, say whatever. Just like when a kid wants candy or is throwing a tantrum. Yes, go ahead, let it out. Say whatever you want. It's not fazing me.
Yeah, and the more he sees that as a pattern of your response to him, he knows he's not going to get a reaction, that you're responding to him, but you're not reacting to him. And a lot of love on the screen. I'm deeply touched by your words, though, Tish, because you say, I miss my son desperately. But I love the support you're getting from Bree and others. Sassy and Soulful says, I'm just going to say Sassy. Sassy says, yes, the kids will see it. And, of course, she says to you that she feels sorry that you have to endure that. Bree says your body lets you know if environment is unhealthy. Your intuition is huge.
Yep.
Any thoughts on that, ladies, or you want to expand on that? And I'll read something else to you in a moment.
Your gut is your first brain. And then when we start to write our lists of hems and haws, and this person's going to think this of me if I do this and that, that's when we start to fall off out of alignment with our soul and our correct intuition of what we should be saying yes or no to and our boundaries. So it's pretty simple, but it is also extremely difficult to shut the brain off and listen to your gut. Yeah.
But the writing helps. That's why what you did, Kendra, and putting that together is huge.
Yeah.
Why does the writing help from Kendra? You can go first. I know you mentioned something there, Raven, as well. But both of you, again, let's reemphasize. Why is it important to see those thoughts or those triggers or the things that can cause us to react in writing? Why is it important for us to see this stuff and use this link?
Yeah, I think for me, anything that is written down is something that I'm going to remember more clearly in the future. So I think being able to write those down will help you identify them in the future, and that will be like kind of like a road sign that says like, oh, hey, this is the thing that I wrote down before, right? And then you're going to be able to easily kick, or it will be easier for you to kick into gear to say like, oh, now this is the reaction I planned when this happened, right? So that for me, that's why I like to do a lot of exercises where I'm writing things down so that I have a clarity of what my approach is going to be when this happens.
I love it.
I like the word you say, clarity.
Go ahead. You wanted to say something?
It just brings clarity, because you can think yourself till you're blue in the face and go round and round in circles. But then once you start to write it down and map it out, you see how clear the map of your thoughts are and how false they may be or how triggering they are. And all of these, all lines lead to this trigger. Okay, I completely clearly see now. Yeah.
That trigger could be a person too now. So everybody... you may end up finding out, oh my goodness, every time I get to feeling like this, it's always connected back to this person, and this is their behavior. You get to what?
Them go.
I knew you were gonna stick it in there. I couldn't even work my way to it. You stuck it in before I could even say it. Then you have to navigate around the things that can bring you down before you start to literally pull up the drawbridge and not let them in anymore. But you can't do none of that until you write it down and really see what it is. Because in the moment, it can seem like a big haze. I like what you said, Kendra, because it's almost like an emotional signpost. It's like an emotional a marker when we write it down and we can see it. And then we acknowledge it. We may even give a little thought to it or meditate on it and thought about it and say, okay, I understand. So 2 + 2 equals this reaction when I'm around this person or when that. So I have to stop reacting and start responding instead, or not responding. As you said, Kendra, you said, Raven, in dealing with a little child who's having a tantrum. Who's the adult in the room? Sometimes we got to recognize, oh my goodness, I'm not really dealing with an adult right now. He's acting like a child.
Yeah.
He's trying to get his way, and that's not acceptable to me. And we can't even talk about it. Everyone here is highlighting a number of things, but I have to go here to Sassy. Sassy says, writing helps me discover my self-limiting beliefs, too. I have stuff to work on regardless of the narc.
Yes.
So this is exactly what I wanted the discussion to go. But go ahead. You were going to say, ladies? Anybody?
Amen, sister.
Amen.
Yes.
Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on. We might as well give her one of these, too.
I love that. Yep, you gotta get on with it. Right, start putting your own things into motion. Get those goals flowing. Make those things happen for yourself.
Yeah. What they're going to need to do is they're going to need to talk to you so that they can make sure that they're not wasting their time.
Yeah, so here's what I want you guys to do
their
right
disposable time. Okay, go ahead.
So here's what I want you guys to do right now.
That was the segue. That was the segue for you. Go ahead.
At the very top of this live, you see where Paxton put the little hashtag boundaries, right? There's a carrot at the right next to it. Click on that, and I want you to go follow both Raven and myself, because Raven's really, really, really great at identifying red flags, boundaries, self-esteem, rolling with your intuition. That is her wheelhouse. That's her area of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like, I can talk to you about goals, creating a vision, maximizing your disposable time, and making things come to fruition in your life that you've worked your butt off for. And that's the focus that I have is for personal development. So smash that
personal
and then go follow both of us.
Personal development, literally in the dictionary, electronic or printed, has a huge 8.5 by 10 of you. That's what's there. Personal development. Anybody looks up personal development, there's a huge picture of you. When it comes to no one can get around personal development if you're in the room. Why? Because is that a passion of yours?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, I love it.
I am messing with you right now.
With me, but
I'm so messing with you.
I get on fire for that. Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. When you're in a chair, there is no need for it to have a back because you're always going to lean forward.
I know. Look at me. On the edge of my seat.
That's hilarious.
How did you
Seriously. I want to talk to the man in your life because he probably breaks all the chairs in the house and say, we don't need a back when my baby's sitting in a chair because she's leaning forward the whole time. We go to the movies, she leans forward. She just lean forward. Just lean. There's nothing wrong in that because that means you're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. I am.
Even if you're talking about someone else's life, you're ready to go. That's how things get done with people like you. That doesn't mean Raven and I are not going to get anything done. It's just that what we gotta do that for. We got you. We just let you go.
I love this team, guys.
I'm all in the headspace and constantly talking. And she's got
Raven,
the list. I love it.
Raven's dissecting people's words as they come across the screen and figuring them out electronically. So everybody that's here, she's totally checking you guys out and dissecting you with her seventh eye in her head.
And I'm asking myself, what is their sun sign?
Oh my goodness. Next you're going to be saying, I got a lizard brain like I was told the other day. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm a human. Okay, so anyhow, what I'm going to say is, when it comes, thank you. You're very kind, Sassy. Y'all so funny. We ain't got no money, so we got to be funny, honey. So we got to, listen, when it comes, no, Bree, why did you put the word leg on there? I'm missing something. Maybe I should read something else.
I feel like it's an acronym, but I don't know what the E stands for. Because it was right after I said, let them go.
Oh, way to go. Look at you.
Let them go? Oh, maybe. Yeah, let us know if that's it, Bree.
What are you guys doing? You guys communicating to each other via the internet? Cool. She put L-E-G. So we need a L, a period, a E, and a... Okay, so leg, which means what? Let them go?
Let them go.
Hey, guys.
Okay, Bree. Okay, Bree. Here we go. That's a T-shirt right there. That's a T-shirt right there. It needs to have somebody's website right underneath it. It should be like L-E-G, L period. That should be, there you go. That's a T-shirt right there. You guys are awesome.
There's the website.
Boom.
There you go. It says they'll feel your love and have a close relationship in the future. That's in regards to children that have to deal with parents that are going through a divorce and one of them is a liar. The children will recognize who's telling the truth. But writing can prove to be very powerful for you, Tish, as you're going through your situations. Reach out to anybody here in the chat. Connect with them if you need some support. Feel free to come back and watch, of course, any of the free live shows that we do here. And connect with those that make you feel emotionally safe and comfortable. It is very important for individuals to know, you guys are funny, man. It is very important for individuals to know that they are seen, heard, and desired. But when somebody steps over your boundary, it's like they don't see you, they don't hear you, and I can do without you. That is not acceptable. A person has to recognize that they need to take certain steps to put a boundary in place. What are some things that an individual can do to make sure that they are putting a boundary in place? I'm messing with you guys. You're going to go silent on me? I got one.
What is something to make sure that they need to put a boundary in place?
If we are overly concerned about how people react to us, or if we feel shameful or guilty, that could make it quite difficult. We may need to not be overly concerned or even care of what they think, because we may need to set up a boundary to protect our children, our dog. I'm just messing with you, Raven. Our children, our dog.
Your dog whacking me on the arm over here.
This is totally turned into like us just talking about stuff that means nothing to anybody else.
I know the answer.
Go ahead.
I know where
Go
you're
ahead.
getting towards. It is what you need to do, which was really hard for me, is to not care what other people think about you. Don't give a
difficult
crap. Yeah.
Right. Hard.
Right. It's really difficult. I mean, I think it goes down to our primal instinct of needing to fit into the village to survive. But the villages had synergy. And when you're in a relationship that doesn't have synergy, honestly, you're going to survive a lot better without that person, if that's what it needs to be.
It can be so challenging that people will feel, you know what, I'm the troublemaker if I stand up for myself, or if I say no to my dad or my mom or to a sibling or to their husband or wife. Or really, they may need to put a boundary with their child, who seems to be able to get and do whatever they want.
Yes.
Which can create a problem.
Please do so. We don't need self-centered children growing up.
Well, you can't be in everybody's home. So it's sad to say. But when it comes to setting up a boundary, here's something neither one of you, of course, thought I was going to ask you, but here we come, because that's what I do on the show.
Yes.
The last time you set up a boundary and it was crossed, how did it make you feel, Kendra? Raven, you can go second. How did it make you feel when you set up a boundary and you were ignored?
I think that I was pretty hurt, because like I said, I first make sure that did I communicate this clearly, right? And I know that I had, and the person very, very close to me, and so I think that the closer that they are, the more impact that it will have on you. But it makes me, it's probably how I'm wired, but it makes me think did I communicate this clearly? And it makes me rethink, and then I'm like, yes, I did. And then I think I get towards the reaction of it's anger. I think I get really angry, and I start reacting in that way, because I know that I clearly communicated this, and you're crossing that boundary for me. So I would swing it over to Raven, because I'm sure she can do a whole
No. This is getting good.
Don't pass over the anger. We gotta talk about that.
Look at Raven. Yeah, we wanna we done opened up the can.
She probably had 30 things lined up from look
at you, Kendra. Okay, now I'm gonna call you Dee Dee. So Kendra, when people cross your line, does Dee Dee come out?
Oh man.
Princess Dee Dee comes out. So you go from Queen Kendra to Princess Dee Dee, and Princess Dee Dee go let me tell you what time of day it's going to be today. So look at you, snap your finger.
You just went to crap.
We need, all of us empaths need to channel that, because we're faced with fight or flight, and we freeze. At least for me, that's what I've had to really work on, is stop freezing. Say what you need to say.
So that aspect can happen with an individual. They get to that point where it's their jaws lock, their tongue all of a sudden goes into their stomach, and their eyes become like deer eyes in the headlight, and it's what do I do here? Because this person is going to yell at me, or this person is going to abandon me, this person is going to think that I'm just this horrible person, or they may even tell you that you're disrespectful, or that you don't respect this or that. But somebody has to stand up for you, and for me, I would probably be the best bet, right? To stand up for myself and say something. But it can be scary, especially if you're dealing with somebody you may admire and they're not respecting your boundary, a person of authority. But it has to be done, though, right? At some point, you recognize that you have to stand up. You mentioned that you have, Kendra, you said that you look at it as if, did I communicate it clearly? Did I say what I needed to say? That's your pattern, as you said, that's what you do when somebody crosses your boundary. Then once you find out that they cross the boundary, now earlier you said there's a chit chat that takes place. And if you're angry, you let them know that they've crossed that boundary.
Yeah, I do. And I'm sure that there's I could do some refining of that.
We're not going to have a therapy session for you, Kendra, right now. It's okay.
No, don't hold the fire back. So many of us,
I'm ready, guys.
You good, girl.
I'll put some on the couch if you want me to.
You good, girl. No, you should, no. Vodka in that cup and tequila would probably make you feel pretty good. But what I was going to say is, when you get in that situation where you get angry, and you express yourself, and you knew that you set down a clear boundary, and this person, we're not going to pick on the man in your life, but this person crosses those boundaries. Like some of them are saying here, Bree is one of them. They're showing their true colors. They hate good boundaries. So you set up a good boundary, and then you reflect and say, well, wait a minute, is this me? Didn't I just say not to do that? Did we not have this discussion?
Yeah.
If they continue to cross the boundaries, what's the next step for you in your mind?
For me, I would like try and, when that happens, I usually do like my own like quick mental assessment, like how close do I want this person to be in my life, like a year from now, 2 years from now?
I'm sorry, I really thought you were going to say, how close can I get away with killing them and not get caught? I don't believe I just said that. Okay, so anyhow, go ahead. So you want to make sure, this is the last time you guys will see me. So I take that back. So anyhow, you want to make sure that you assess whether this person needs to be in your inner circle or not anymore.
I do. And then if I don't see that person like in my future, a year from now, 2 years from now, I will cut it off right then and there, because I don't need to spend any additional energy on maintaining that relationship and re-articulating that boundary for me. I don't do the drama. I don't want the unnecessary back and forth of communication when I'm not. It's not an investment I want to make. So I'll just cut ties and jump. But it's definitely different if it's like more relationship that you want to have for a long period of time.
Right. So do you keep track of all the ones that you've 86? Because I'm not on that list that you kicked
not
out.
Yet.
So
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Hey, you know what? On the screen, you're getting love. Did you see what's on the screen there? Sassy says, she's giving you 100. She's giving you 300s there. So if you go like 100, girl, she got you. She understand you. Okay. Lady Raven. So, can you remember the last time somebody crossed your boundary, and how did that make you feel?
I think
be careful.
the last time
your kids are nearby. Be careful. Don't.
I know. No, the last time is that crazy story about the event being finagled from my house to that. That was just last, July. And I haven't spoke to her since. I said, I'm more than happy to talk to you on the phone. I'm not going to text anymore about this. I'm going to respect your special day, and let's not talk about it. And I pretty much heard there's nothing more to talk about it. And I said, fine. And I haven't reached out because I know her true intention isn't to really honor my highest self and find any type of compromise or have a synergy. I don't know why I keep saying the word synergy, but like a back and forth, relationship.
Hashtag. Okay, go ahead.
I know, hashtag synergy. And have a give and take relationship with me. She just wants it all her to herself. And so I'm back to not talking to her. And that's how it goes. How'd it make me feel? It just made me feel stupid that I fell for it again, to be honest. Because it wasn't the first time.
That's the other aspect. If you continue to let somebody, I'll use me. if I continue to let somebody cross the boundary that I know is clearly something that does not work for me, it is plain as day. That is not what I want to do at 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday because I want to relax. It's like, and if I keep doing it, I'm kind of leaning like what you said. I could see myself getting mad at myself. But then I'm going to turn around and go like, wait a minute. I'm in control of this whole thing. Why am I, now I'm getting mad at, right, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it was a really good lesson though. And it brought up the whole parable story about the snake and the turtle riding on the snake's back. And just unfortunately the nature of the snake is it's always going to bite. And the parable goes that there was a river and the snake wanted to cross and asked the turtle, hey, can I ride on your back so we can cross the river? And the turtle said, no, you're going to bite me. You're a snake. And the snake was very manipulative and said, well, why would I bite you? That makes no sense. We're both going to drown if I bite you. So the turtle thought about it. Oh, okay. Gave the snake a ride. Middle through the lake, the snake bit the turtle on the neck. Yeah. And the turtle turned around and said, you said you wouldn't bite me. Now we're both going to die. And the snake said, I couldn't help it. It was in my nature. Yeah. And they both sunk to the bottom of the lake. And it's that same thing, like stop letting the snake bite you.
We can find ourselves dealing with people that it is within their given nature, as it were, to not be open to any agreement, not cooperate, and to continue to always want to push the limit and step over the line.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, we can be charmed into thinking they're one way. Well, people call them narcissists today. We can be charmed into thinking they're one way. We let them into our inner circle only to find out we're fresh meat for them.
Yep.
Because no matter how talented we are, they want to cross that line because they're jealous of our talent or other things. They're jealous of who we are, what we have, our children or mates, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But you're saying, got you. That dog got you. Freak you out. Freak you out. Oh, but you're saying that we have to not be overly concerned, technically not care about what others think when we need to set a boundary, because we may need to set that boundary to get some sleep, to take care of our health, to spend time with a mate, to spend time with the children. We may need to set that boundary just so we can have peace of mind. Mm-hmm. And then you're highlighting that we may need to, I'm just going to pull some things here that I have as notes for the show. We may need to set up expectations, be willing to follow through on boundaries. Setting up expectations, what does that mean?
I think it's the verbal communication of before something happens, you know, this is the expectation. If you're going into a situation, maybe you're co-parenting with somebody who is toxic or a narcissist, you know, setting up all the guidelines and the expectations. This is what's going to happen, just as you would do with a business. You know, you're getting together with your client, you communicate to them, I'm expecting to be paid this much. Yeah. You're expecting to get this out of my service. Same thing in a relationship. I'm expecting us to, you know, me to have these days, and you're expecting to have these days, or whatever the thing is. I'm expecting you to not badmouth me, and I won't badmouth you in return. Like different things like that. And of course, you can only control yourself, but those are expectations. Right, Kendra?
Yeah, I think that's great. Great advice.
When it comes to personal development and personal growth, people don't do it without sitting down and writing out, journaling, as it were, laying out a plan. Kendra, you deal with personal growth. The same thing happens in a relationship, right? Things need to be looked at on paper together and worked out. Expectations need to be clear as well as reasonable. But when you're dealing with someone that doesn't respect boundaries, then a point I want to highlight here is be willing to follow through on boundaries to make sure that the person can't say, well, I did that and there were no repercussions, so let me go ahead and do something else and I can just keep doing it. I'm sorry. If you guys can't see what's on the screen, somebody, Bree, put barkers and then she put a couple of dogs there. So,
yep, that's mine.
Somebody please take a note what Tish says. She says, wow, the snake. So yes, the snake is going to be what a snake is. Such a good parable. The narc is always a snake, somebody says. I refuse to over-explain myself anymore. Why is that very important? Sassy says that. Why is it important to not over-explain? Kendra, you want to take that one?
I think for me, and I can only speak from my personal experience because I'm definitely not a coach in this arena, but what works well for me is I make sure that I've communicated those expectations very clearly. And if that person continues to cross that boundary, like for me, I am not going to waste any more time over communicating it, because to me, there's either one, like I don't want to have that relationship continue on any further, or two, like that person doesn't respect that boundary enough to adhere to what I've communicated to them. So then that will lead me to saying, like, I don't want to continue this relationship any longer.
So you have no problem not continuing a relationship, huh?
It depends. Like, my circle is really small because I don't.
You know what? You are so nice right now. You're so
political.
So
about
good.
it.
Yes, isn't she? It's like this whole. It's in a. Okay, we're gonna bring the show to an end. It's been over an hour and a half, and I'm telling you, you have been.
Speaking of
it's
boundaries,
like
I gotta feed my children.
Yeah, we gotta go. But listen, you have been like on the. Are you on best behavior day, or did somebody give you a time?
So.
You're like speaking so nice. I wanted to see that Raven. Come on, Raven, just say it. You know what? Cut them out. Let them go.
Let
Kick them to the curb.
go.
There you go. There's
Let them
Raven.
go.
Or rather, Kendra. There's Kendra there. Okay, so look,
There.
everybody, we are out of here. We've enjoyed it. There's so much more here. They're reminding you what true narc sounds like and all, so forth. Show self-respect. They're agreeing with you, Kendra. That's for you, Kendra. Thank you, everyone that has been here. This is the first time ever we have done a show like this here on Narc Abuse TV Network, in which, well, essentially, this is the Raven Kendra Paxton. I was going to say hour, but hour and a half of us doing that. Thank you, Sabine. Sabine hopefully will be on the show too in the future. She is Wonder Woman. I know all of you seen that fake Wonder Woman in the movie, but the real Wonder Woman is Sabine. Your Instagram pages on our way out. Kendra, you go first.
I am the double.theory, and if you want to find either Raven or myself, you can just click the caret at the top, and you'll find both of us.
Yeah.
Double.theory.
And I'm at the Thriving Intuitive.
Okay. Now, Brahm is he giving you sign language? I'm not sure what. I think that's hang loose and
Hang
2/5 bump.
loose and
Okay.
fist bump.
Okay. I am so old. And Sassy, you were amazing today, and you and Bree 007. And others that were here. She says, thank you all, so fun, and I learned so much. We wanted to jump on and do this for you all, to just open it up and let's talk about boundaries. We did that. We're going to come back, I don't know, soon. You guys know when, I always forget.
We'll be
but
back
we're gonna
another Tuesday at 5:30. I believe
Thank
next
you.
Tuesday, 5:30.
See? You can tell who the personal development person is.
Looking again.
And everyone, if you're watching, please send a DM message if you're able to do so. No pressure. Send a DM message to Kendra and to Raven, thanking their families for allowing them to give of their time right now. And make sure you send a message to Raven for her children. That they're starving back there. They're trying to find some cup of noodles or something.
Literally eating Chex Mix right now.
Chex Mix. Please go to double.theory.com /boundary.
/boundaries. And also, if anybody is having trouble looking at that link, just DM either Raven or myself the word boundaries, and we'll get you started.
Yes. Please feel free to reach out to them if you want to talk to them. They're telling you thank you so much on the screen. All the above are out here already. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll be back soon, everybody. Thank you, ladies. Beautiful as usual.
Bye.
Good night for now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.